So the 2025 rookie class for the Browns was really good. We talked about it at length. Carson Schlesinger won Defensive Rookie of the Year. You saw Quinshon Judkins and Harold Fannin both have big roles. We like on paper what the Browns did in the 2026 NFL Draft. But, for the 2026 class to have a better rookie campaign as a whole than the 2025 rookie class did, what has to happen on the field this fall in order to make that a reality?
It has to be health. One of the thing that I look at is, for you to be a impact rookie, the first thing you need to do is you need to be on camp and you need to be at all the OTAs and you need to understand and digest the playbook. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, once you get there, you have to get through camp and you have to be able to stay healthy to get these reps. The problem is sometimes when you get young guys is they get behind the 8 ball. They're already learning the game. They're already learning. They've been on the circuit for, the season ends. You start training, you finish training, you go through the draft, you go through all these different things. And then it's kind of like it just never stops. They throw you into the mix and now you're still going after all this other stuff. So first and foremost, you got to stay healthy in order to get the reps. So to beat out one of the veterans, you're going to have to get the reps and you have to stay healthy. The second part about it is they actually have to be able to look at themselves and say, I see myself as contributors. Like Harold Fannin Jr. came in from day one and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to play. Quinshon Judkins came in from day one and was like, yeah, let it be known that I am the guy. For them, they have to actually go out and outperform these guys, especially at receiver. Denzel Boston, I think Bleacher Report came out and said that they think Denzel Boston has the ability to be the offensive rookie of the year, right? I also think for them to be better than last year's class, they have to have the elevated quarterback play. Mm-hmm. That's because Quinshon Judkins is going to run the ball. Harold Fannin Jr. only had 1 target last year, and he was that guy. But they need the elevated quarterback play so that those guys do get the reps, do get the opportunity. So I think that the quarterback play has to be good. I think that they have to stay healthy, and I think that they have to come in with the mindset, hey, I can take a position. Like Jerry Jeudy's here, yeah, that's cool, but they need those guys to think that they are number 1 and 2 targets and play like it.
It's a tough question. I think it's a loaded question because I don't think that there's a way that this class can outdo what the 25 class did.
I totally agree.
We are underselling how good this 2025 class was. Their first 4 picks weren't just starters. They were difference makers at some time or another in the season. Carson Schlesinger was the top rookie defensive player in the NFL. For my money, Harold Fannin Jr. was the breakout offensive rookie in the NFL. Mason Graham, there were shortcomings that I think we all pointed out, but by and large, he played, and for the most part, played very well throughout the season at a position that, as you know, grown men live there. Mm-hmm. That's tough to come in and dominate as a rookie. Not that he dominated, but I think he more than held his own. Quinshon Judkins, I think, had a great year, but the injury derailed him. Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders started how many games at quarterback collectively?
Yeah, I mean, Shedeur won the most games that they had.
13 games. Joe Flacco started 4, so yeah, 13.
And Dylan Sampson was a contributor. Guys, this will be held up as one of the great draft classes in Browns history. Now, I know we're comparing it to a bushel of sour grapes because we haven't done well at the draft. But for my money, in recent memory, that's as good as it gets. So I did come up with an answer just for fun and just so everybody can make fun of me. Because I know that you have to do that or it's just not a real show. My answer is for the Browns to be able to say this is a better draft class, Taylon Green has to start the entire season at quarterback and win 11 games. That's it. Now, if he does that, if in the first hour we did it well, if he stays healthy. So in this hour, I'm going to play Leprechaun and say, if that happens, and I'll go on record right now as saying it won't, but if that happens and you get an 11-win quarterback at that pick in the draft, okay, then that's probably going to be a better draft class than 25. But that ain't happening, so that's my answer.
That's pretty good. No, I'm kind of with you. When I look, I'm like, well, it's going to be almost impossible to outdo.
Oh.
The only way to outdo, is you don't want this to happen, is if 1 or 2 of those guys slip from last year. If Mason falls off or if Quinshon doesn't turn into the back that you think he's going to. If you get a couple of those things happen in a year from now, we're looking back going, wow, 2 years out, that class doesn't look quite as good as it did a year ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then maybe there's a gap or a vacuum that this class can
I mean,
fill.
what do we have? 10 players overall
In this
drafted?
draft?
Yeah, compared to 7 a year
10,
ago?
yes.
I mean, you got 4 starters there, and if Shador by chance does latch onto this job and take it and run with it, now how are you going to outdo that?
Yeah,
sure.
Especially if
It
he
makes that
starts.
25 class look a lot better.
Every single person on that screen from last year started at least one game.
Which, I mean, that never. When did that
And
happen?
these is fifth. I mean,
Now, they were a 3-win team the year before.
right, but still, just to be able to get guys like you think about it. For this class to happen, they would need somebody to win either offensive, defensive rookie of the year. Because Schlesinger won last year.
You know what would be
Yeah.
an interesting
Yeah.
exercise? I would like to know what was the total number of games started by our 7 last year.
I can tell you that right now.
It's gonna. I think it would be probably in the 60 or 70 range. Because
I think it'd be
Graham
higher
was
than
the
that.
starter the entire season.
Graham started all 17,
Fannin
right?
started the entire. Well, maybe he didn't start the entire season.
Did Schlesinger miss a game with a high ankle or not?
No,
I
I
don't
think,
think he
the
did.
surprising thing was it happened in the bye week and he came back.
Schlesinger missed one game. He played in
That
16
must have been the
games
one.
last year.
Okay. And between Shador and Dillon, they started 13. So
Yeah,
there's
Fannin played in 16 games. Judkins played in 14. Sampson played in 15. Only one was considered a start, but he played in 15.
yeah.
All right, well, that's 31.
Fannin was 16, so he missed a one.
47.
Mason Graham played in all 17.
That's 64.
That's impressive. You'd be hard pressed to find any team's draft
Yeah.
if you just look at their top 7 guys where they contributed that much.
And you would have to put up numbers like Harold Fannin Jr. was their leading receiver.
Yeah.
So one of these guys would have to be their leading receiver. Somebody would have to be either win defensive or offensive rookie of the year.
It's a tall order.
You would need Taylor Green to actually start games like
Yeah.
7 or 8.
Well, that might happen because the Browns love to start multiple quarterbacks.
Well-
what's the average? 3.5, 4? The last 5
They
years?
usually play 4 guys, right?
What's crazy about all of that is I think this is the 2025 class is the reason Andrew Berry is still the general manager.
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, if it wasn't that
Explicitly.
good,
explicitly,
Bye.
the owner said that.
because you changed head coach, and if you're going to change, it makes sense to change both at the same time.
Yeah.
Hold on, even we forgot one. Schmidt.
He's the undrafted guy. I was
Yeah,
only counting
but-
the real draft picks.
But
Still,
it's
major
even better.
contributor.
He's like, what was his
I mean, if
numbers?
you want to count undrafteds too, Isaiah Bond started a couple games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a class, guys.
Yeah.
Historically, that's a hell of a
I
class.
mean, it says that they weren't very good with veterans, but at the end of the day,
They're a 3-win team. They didn't have a lot of talent.
now I will say this: if you mess around and Spencer Fano is a day 1 starter and he looks like an all-pro,
Yeah.
and you get Denzel Boston or one of these receivers that turn into their number 1 receiver, okay? And then if you give me one more, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, E-Man, he's the missing piece at safety. You can squint and be like, well,
It's a good class.
it's a, yeah.
I don't know, though. I mean, the top 4 guys were major contributors.
And then
Major contributors.
Judkins, by the way, listen, he looks better than he looked last year. I don't know what he's doing. This guy looks
doing it.
This guy looks like he's more twitchy. He looks like he's more athletic. It looks like he done dropped some weight. It looks like he is not at all dealing with no sort of ankle injury. And the thing I look at it, if those guys take a step, if you just say take a regular step, and you get the rest of these guys and they have back-to-back classes,
Yeah. Oh, but that's how you start to get
that's
back
how
into,
you
the talent cycle.
That's how you start clawing your way back
Yeah.
in.
That's
to
how
that.
you look like an NFL team.
Right.
That's exactly right. You got to do multiples in a row, hit 3 out of 4 draft classes, retain your talent, build on it, and figure out the quarterback.
Yep.
And they've drafted 3 in the last 2 classes. Hopefully he's there. We'll find out.